What causes depression and anxiety? If we knew that, we could probably deal with it better. That's today. So what causes depression and anxiety? Is it my thinking? Is it my brain chemistry? Okay, favorite answer? Yes, absolutely. It's both. It's an interplay between brain chemistry and thought patterns, and each of those affect the other. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg question. Which one came first? I don't know. One of my clients not too long ago, teenage kid, he said, "Hey, Dr. Paul, guess what?" "What?" "I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll keep you posted on which one comes first." So I'll let you know once he tells me. But it's kind of the same thing with our brain chemistry and our thinking. They both affect each other. They are both absolutely causes and precursors to depression and anxiety, and they both support our positive mental health and our happiness. So we're not going to exclude either of them. For the purposes of this video, we're going to get into primarily the psychological causes. So thought patterns, that's my area of specialty anyway. So we're going to talk about that piece, but keep in the back of your mind somewhere that it has a whole lot to do with brain chemistry too. And we'll start on the psychology end with something that's called the cognitive triad. If you've ever been in an introductory psychology class, you've probably encountered the cognitive triad or you've been introduced to it. And it's basically three aspects of our experience: what you think, what you feel, and what you do. So those three elements. Now, each of these interacts with and affects the others. So these three aspects of our experience, what we think, what we feel, and what we do, you'll notice we have bidirectional arrows between each of those three, meaning that they each control or affect the others. So what you think affects how you feel, and what you feel affects what you do, and what you do affects how you think. So it gets into this loop and it can go both directions. Well, this is good news actually, because it means if we want to work on one of these, we can actually work on the other two to affect that one, because some of them are more easily controlled than others. So can you control what you do, for example? Yeah. I mean, you can force yourself really to do something even if you don't feel like it, right? You probably did that this morning. So with the exception of strong habits, we experience a lot of control over what we do. What about what you think? That's a tricky one. Do we control what we think? What if I invite you to think about bananas? Can you do that? Yeah, not too hard, right? You can picture bananas, their shape, their texture, their taste, their color. All right, so you can control that. Good. Now here's the next task. Do not think about grapefruit. You know, the round ones that are sour and you stick a spoon in them, they squirt you in the eye. Do not think about grapefruit. How you doing with that? Yeah, that's what I thought. You're thinking about grapefruit. I told you not to. Can you control what you think? Well, yes and no, because some of our thoughts just come, right? You're driving down the freeway and suddenly you're thinking of home mortgages because you saw the billboard, right? It's not even on your radar until it kind of introduces itself. So some of our thoughts we control, some we don't. It's a tricky area. What about how you feel? You ever been in that place where you're just not feeling good and somebody comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, cheer up." Yeah, how's that working? Probably get you a black eye, right? It's not that easy to just flip a switch and suddenly we're feeling different. So feeling tends to be the number one answer when I ask people, well, which one of these is the hardest for most people to control? It's feeling. That's so automatic, but it's affected by the other two where we have a little more control. Let's create a mnemonic that will help you to remember this. We'll use the alphabet because everybody pretty much has the alphabet memorized. And if you're still working on it, we're just gonna go to F today. Okay, because that's far enough for today. A through F, you've already got that memorized, so we'll use it as a mnemonic or a memory tool to remember this process. Now, the process will make more sense if I tell you a little story. Now, this story is absolutely true. At least the guy who told me the story said it was true, and he heard it from his uncle whose cousin read it on the internet. So, there's that. But anyway, it's a good story to illustrate this point. A young man was preparing himself to go on a study abroad trip. He was going to go to a faraway land and study whatever it is they study in that land. So he put in his application. He had really good grades. His mom and dad had plenty of money, so he was pretty much guaranteed that he'd get the position. Waited a few weeks, he heard back, yes, he's been accepted. So he packed his bags, threw them in the plane, and he took off for this foreign land. Now, this was a place that was very different from his hometown. And when he got there, he started to go through what we call culture shock. You've probably heard of this, maybe you've experienced it. Where you get to a new culture, everything's different. And so you're constantly adjusting and adapting to this new environment. And he found out the plugs in the wall are different. The way you flush the toilet is different. The food is different. The language is different. Everything is different. So he's going through some culture shock. Well, the thing that bothered him the most, he could not find a Snickers candy bar anywhere. And this was a serious problem. He had what we call in the clinical field a Snickers addiction. Okay, you may snicker at this, but it's a serious condition for those who suffer. And he's going through snicky fits and everything as he's going through the withdrawals from his favorite treat. Well, this went on for a little while. And then one day, as he was walking along behind the campus of the school that he was visiting, he noticed a candy store. And it was in the garage of a local family who found that if they import candy from America, they can make a killing off of all these students over there. Awesome. And they had Snickers. Only $3 a bar. But remember, mom and dad, they had plenty of cash, so he wasn't worried about that. He's going down every day now to buy his Snickers. And life is good. And one day he went in there like he always did. This is after his afternoon class, probably 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He walks in and it's dark. He can't see a thing. Remember, it's in a garage, so there's not a lot of light coming in. Well, as his eyes are adjusting, you know how your eyes have to adjust a little after you come out of the bright sun into a dark room? He notices a commotion going on right over here in the side of the room. And as he turns to look, here comes a man in a ski mask carrying a knife. The guy gets up behind him, holds the knife up to his throat. Okay, so if you can just picture that position, how does he feel? Right, you nailed it. He is terrified. He's so scared he wet his pants. Have you ever been that scared? You don't have to admit it if you have. He is terrified. Now, why is he afraid? Yeah, makes sense, right? This attack. Now keep those two questions in mind. Was it real fear? And why is he afraid? Just set those aside for a minute. We'll come back to them. You want to know what happened. A few seconds passed. Seemed like longer to him, but it was really only a few seconds. And he noticed another guy over here in this corner of the room. This guy's bigger than the first one. He comes rushing over, gets a hold of the knife, pulls it away from his throat. Almost in the same movement, gets a hold of the arm of that first guy, throws him down to the floor, pulling the knife out of his hand in the process. And then he turns to our friend and shows him the knife is made out of rubber. Fake knife. And then these two guys bust up laughing on the floor. A couple of guys from the dorm. Now how does he feel? A little mad, maybe? Relieved? Yeah, in more ways than one. Right? Okay. But his feeling has totally changed. Now let's bring those two questions back. Was it real fear? Oh yeah. He's got the laundry problem to prove it now. Why was he afraid? Now remember the answer from before and notice that our answer needs to change now. Well, he had a knife up to his throat. Come on, it was a fake knife. Yeah, but what did he believe about the knife? So let's go back to the alphabet. I'll give you a quick mnemonic to help you understand how this process happens in your own mind so that you'll have something to do with this from now on. So using the letters of the alphabet, let's start with A. A stands for activating event. Activating event. This is anything that occurs. It can be good, bad, or neutral. So as you're driving down the road, somebody rear ends you. Activating event. You go home. Your spouse says something to you. Activating event. You go home. Your spouse doesn't say anything to you. Activating event. Do you see? It could be anything. In our story, the activating event was the attack. That's the event. Okay, now whenever an activating event occurs, we go immediately to the next step. C, the consequent emotion. The consequent emotion is the feeling or the emotional reaction that we have when the activating event occurs. And in our story, it was fear. Fear. Can you see how that emotion just immediately gripped our hero in this story? What? Oh, we skipped something? Glad you're paying attention. Yeah, we skipped B. I know. I skipped B on purpose because our brain skips B. In psychology, we even have a phrase for this. It's called the fundamental attributional error. Isn't that great that we come up with words for all this stuff? The fundamental attributional error is a mistake that our mind routinely makes when we feel a strong emotion. And that's the consequent emotion, right? See? When we feel something strong like fear, our mind asks us, why do we feel afraid? And we answer it the way we first answered this one. Well, duh, because of A, the activating event. That's the mistake. We don't feel the fear because of the activating event. That was just the trigger for it. We feel it because of B, the belief. I said belief because it starts with B, but we could say automatic thought or assumption, whatever fits here. And in our story, that belief was the knife is real. Do you see how our hero believed that? It's not true, but that's what he believed, and it was that belief that caused the feeling. What if we want to change our feelings? Let's move on in the alphabet. D, dispute. We could say debate or disprove or any other really good D words that have to do with take that belief and shake it around a little bit. See if it holds any water. Test it. See if we can poke holes in it. Okay, and the dispute in our story was when he found out, oh, it bends. It bends. Now, with that new information, can he go on believing that it's a real knife? No, not really. So we'll go to E. E stands for effective rational belief. Effective rational belief. This is a new belief based on new information or true information that will lead us into a new belief. In our story, the effective rational belief is the knife is fake. Okay, that's the new belief. Now with the new belief, can he go on feeling? What happens to his feeling as soon as the belief changed? That leads us to F. F is feeling change. Feeling change. In our story, it was relief. Okay, but whatever the new feeling is, the feeling automatically changes. So do you see how this works cognitively? Our feelings are so tied to our beliefs, and we don't always notice what the beliefs are, but we can always address them. So with this ABC model, that'll give you a way to remember how to evaluate and maybe take a different look at some of the beliefs that are causing some of the feelings that could be associated with depression or anxiety. So not only do we know more about what causes depression and anxiety, you've got a few tools that you might want to share with someone. I hope you do so.